Hello, yes, I'm here. My brain finally turned on somewhat, so I was able to comprehend the idea of making this video about WWDC. So this is basically just a recap of the major things that happened at this WWDC 2019 event a few days ago. They announced a good bit of stuff, so I have a good bit of stuff to talk about. So here we go. So everything they announced was WatchOS 6, iOS 13, iPadOS, and the new cheese grater Mac Pro. So let's start with the Mac Pro. I don't like the cheese grater design. That's just my opinion personally. I do not like the cheese grater design. I prefer the trash can design actually because it's a lot more sleek. This is just kind of meh, but it does serve some functional purposes, so it makes sense. And the design doesn't have much to do with the whole thing. What does have to do with the whole thing is the insane specs and the insane power that they put into this thing. It can configure up to a 28-core Intel Xeon processor. You can add up to 1.5 terabytes of RAM. That's insane. You can configure your graphics card of up to 2 Radeon Pro Vega 2 Duo MPX modules. I said that correctly. And up to 4 GPUs. That's really crazy. The baseline Mac Pro without the monitor, without the stand, is $6,000. And for every day, that's really expensive. But for the professionals, that's probably not too bad. But then you add the monitor that Apple made, the 6K monitor that looks gorgeous. That's $5,000. So now you have $11,000. But that's just the screen. So you need to pay $1,000 for the stand. And then you're paying $12,000 for the Mac Pro, the baseline Mac Pro. I wouldn't be surprised if the fully configured, maxed out Mac Pro was in $30,000 to $40,000 range. I wouldn't be surprised, because it makes sense. They're catering towards absolute professionals who can afford that power and really need that power. They're not catering towards your casual professional, they're catering towards your professional. All right, let's talk about the operating systems now. Starting with iOS 13, its main feature is dark mode, which people have been asking for years, and here we are. They finally added dark mode to iOS and also iPadOS. And also another main feature is that instead of signing into things with Google or signing into things with Facebook, you can sign into things with Apple, which ensures that no one will be tracking you. You're absolutely still private, and if you would like, for things that you need to sign up with your email, you can use your email, or you can use an email that Apple generates for you. But there's also other things like a redesigned photos, calendar, reminders, and notes app. They updated maps, so there's a street view now. Siri has a new voice. It's supposed to sound more natural, but I heard it on Apple's website and it still sounds pretty robotic and overall very similar. If you're wearing AirPods, I don't know why I did that. If you're wearing AirPods and your friend is wearing AirPods, then you can share audio now between those two AirPods. And also, if you get a message while you're wearing AirPods, Siri will read that message to you instead of you having to pick up your phone and then look at the message. Like a normal person! And they added what I like to call swiping typing, which is a keyboard that you can swipe between the letters instead of having to tap. I like to call it swiping typing because it's a stupid way to say it and it rhymes. They added some emoji stuff. I don't really get the point, but they did. They redesigned the CarPlay dashboard. They added performance improvements too, and a lot of smaller things. It's unfortunately not compatible with my iPhone 6, so I can't make a video on that. I can't get it. WatchOS 6, for those of you who have Apple Watches, I do not, has also added a few things like new watch faces, Siri capabilities, so if there's a song playing and you don't know what it is, you can ask Siri what song is playing and she'll tell you. There's health tracking, there's cycle tracking, there's activity tracking. So activity tracking is where there's an activity, basically see how active you are over an entire year. And biggest of all, they added an app store right in the comfort of your own watch. So instead of having to download apps from your iPhone to your watch, you can just download them right on your watch. macOS Catalina is also here, and they changed iTunes from one big app to 3 smaller apps. So there's now Apple Music on Mac, there's Apple Podcasts on Mac, and there's Apple TV on Mac. I'm guessing, I never use iTunes so I don't really know, but I'm guessing iTunes was just getting so big that they had to split it into 3 separate apps. I wouldn't call it a big update, but one really cool feature is that you can use your iPad as another monitor for your MacBook. That is really cool. And that leads us nicely into me talking about iPadOS. I'm guessing that they changed iPadOS from just iOS all over and added iPadOS so there are things that I'm guessing they want to do to iPhone specifically and things they wanted to do to iPad specifically, and that wouldn't work if there was just one cohesive iOS. so they switched it into iPadOS. It's still very similar to iOS, but it adds a few desktop features, so it's kind of like a middle bridge between the two. There's a side over and split view, so you can use multiple apps at once. There's a new home screen, so it adds your widgets to the same screen as one of your apps are on. So okay, so here's your screen, right? You see this invisible screen right here. This is your apps, and this is your widgets, so you don't have to scroll for them anymore. They're just right there. You can copy and paste and undo things just with gesture controls. There's also a swiping typing keyboard that you can move around your iPad, or you could still use the smart keyboard, or you could use both. They updated the Files app, so now you can share files. You can also plug a USB drive, an external hard drive, or an SD card reader into your iPad, and those files can go in the Files app and you can use them for whatever. That sounds really, really nice and very useful. And they also added dark mode to iPadOS, and there's a more desktop-like Safari, which is pretty cool. And finally, while Apple never said it themselves, they had to get this information from third-party source. I say third-party, it's just Google. They added mouse support to the iPad apparently, and I'm guessing they didn't say it outright is because it's still an accessibility feature. So I think that just about sums it up for WWDC 2019. There was a good bit of new stuff, but none of it is compatible with any of the devices I own. I'm still rocking a whopping iPad mini 2 from 2013. I'm not surprised though that none of my things are getting the new software, because my iPad mini 2 has an A7 chip. I don't remember, I think my iPhone 6 has an A7 chip, I don't remember. And I have a MacBook Air from 2011, and that didn't even get macOS Mojave. But I still find it fun to talk about, so that's why I made this video. But also, if you have any video ideas, or suggestions, or things you just really like to see me make, please let me know in the comments below. Oh, I sound like such a YouTuber. Anyways, I'll see you sometime in the century. Goodbye.